Hello everybody and welcome to another Doctor Who review, this time my very first review of the 13th Doctor's era. It's Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. This is a revived series story, so I don't have any plot synopsis to do via the television companion. Let's get straight into the story. So the plotline basically is Nikola Tesla is in the trials of trying to get his wireless energy project up and running, and which is at Wardenclyffe near New York in America. It looks like there's some aliens that have come to try and find him because they think he's a great engineer. These aliens are parasitic scavenger scorpions called the Skifra, and their queen wants him to become their repairman on their ship. The Doctor and the crew of Graham, Ryan and Yaz all find out about this. The Doctor's chasing the technology because she realises there's technology here that isn't of this era, and ends up helping Tesla to stop the Scorpions from taking him and using him. And they use his Wardenclyffe technology to do so. Overall, it's a interesting historical, kind of pseudo-historical story, and you learn a lot about Tesla and his history and the fact he had so many brilliant ideas but nobody wanted to take them on, and they had this kind of opposite point of view, this kind of comparison with Edison, Thomas Edison, and how he has managed to get all these ideas, patent them and make money off them, and how Tesla wasn't willing to go down that route and be sold out and wanted his ideas to stand on their own. And they list so many things that he was thinking about: radar, Wi-Fi, he was thinking about X-rays. It was really interesting how he was all going through the technologies and what he was wanting to put forward for the world. And it's the story against direct current versus alternating current, and how Edison had weaponized the media to make Tesla seem to be more, not as competent, maybe as more dangerous than the others, which was than other inventors, which I thought was really interesting. But the whole story of that kind of frisson between Edison and Tesla comes into play at bits, and they're both involved in the plot. But 2 points of view are quite amazing, and the fact that Tesla doesn't seem to be too surprised with some of the technology he finds with the Doctor, and actually embraces it, is really cool, and I really like the whole dynamic with that. We'll go through the actors and the characters playing in this story and quickly go through them. So we have, of course, the Doctor, played by Jodie Whittaker. The first time I've actually reviewed in a Doctor Who review, Jodie Whittaker as the actor to play the Doctor. Do you know what? There's a lot of talk in the 13th Doctor, and it's very much a symptom of the era. And I think it's very much a symptom of the budget as well. It's all talk and no show. And I think it's trying to save the special effects and the visual effects for big set pieces to make it look good. And it's the nature of this Doctor that she'll talk and talk and talk and explain and have a conversation. And if you're not in the mood to listen to that, it's very difficult to follow. But it's a way of showing the Doctor's intelligence in a more traditional way, I think, in the Doctor talking rather than doing as much. Because that's really how the first 3-4 Doctors worked. They kind of talked instead of did a bit more. The action started ramping up in Pertwee's era, but the first 2 Doctors were more about talking and describing than actually doing 9 times out of 10, and having these conversations. And it goes back to the old-fashioned Doctor of old. And maybe that isn't something that the modern audience can attain to or understand a bit more. But when you sit down and you have the conversation, the 2 ways that she has with people throughout, Edison and the discussion about the rapport they have about being inventors, her conversations with Edison and how she has a slight disdain for him about the way he deals with his life, but also potentially maybe understands it. That the whole character, the way it's written and put through, is very old. It can actually be very old school, and that actually gives one good point about it doesn't matter what the gender is of the Doctor. The character's still there. The character's still the same as it was before, and this is a good example of showing and showing more, or talking more than doing case. But I think the character's full of ideas and full of thoughts and feelings, and wants to get everything out and explain a lot of stuff. And I actually quite like it. It's quite a warm character to watch and listen to. And there is a couple of awkward social moments. I mean, every Doctor seems to have that. It's certainly an enjoyable take, and I do like watching Jodie's character when she's in full flow of her descriptions. And at this stage, this Doctor is starting to get more relaxed in the way they are as well. It's about halfway through their era at this point, and they're getting more relaxed in the way they approach themselves. So there's a bit of doubt in them in the series 11, but this one there's more confidence about what she's doing, and she's bringing the other companions along for the ride. Out of the three companions here, obviously a more modern take, there's been a bit more towards Yaz in series 13 and Flux. Here she does come across a bit more, and she always seems to be the heart of the quartet. She's there with Miss Skerritt and Tesla when the Doctor, Yaz and Dr. Ryan and Graham go off to Tesla's factory, and she seems to be the heart of the stories. So this whole soft heart of the character that we're seeing of Yaz really is quite sweet, and I think it really does work, and I do like Mandip Gill's performance in this. You've then got Ryan, played by Tosin Cole. The thing with, I don't know what it is, but I've never really got Ryan as a character. He seems to be, I don't know, it's one of these things that's kind of like, the only thing I can think of is it's kind of like, well, he's not as annoying, but he's kind of got that kind of Adric kind of feeling. He's kind of like the odd one out, the left one out. The other companions have interesting qualities to him and interesting ways of seeing the world. And then you've got Ryan here, who just enjoying the ride, but is rather quiet and reserved. And it's interesting how they don't play on his dyspraxia too much. They have a bit where he's jumping the train, which he manages quite well. And it's a small trait that keep bringing up throughout the series. But it's quite a quiet role, and it makes Tosin Cole look like he's not doing much. But I think it's written that way more than actually the actor himself, because I don't think Ryan's the strongest of the characters of the four. I think Ryan's probably the weakest and the quietest, which I would have said for Yaz in Series 11, but Yaz has turned a corner a little bit in regards to the character this time. She's become more the sympathetic ear of the team. You then got Bradley Walsh playing Graham O'Brien. He's got to be very careful he doesn't eclipse Jodie Whittaker sometimes, because he does come out with some of the great lines of this. I mean, the best one he does is, "You two might be the greatest minds of the age, but there's any chance you can stop squabbling while we try and save the planet," which is what he says to Tesla and Edison when they start sparring off each other, because they're talking about how one is better than the other and how one isn't missing his chances and the other one's taking advantage of people and all that back and forth. And that kind of strong character that comes through, and the quips that comes through, and it's very much naturally in the. They've tried to put it in such a way that works within Bradley Walsh's real life character, and it's a really fun explanation. And the fact that he has a kind of more older sense of view of the world, because he's an older man, it does help to counterpoint some of the aspects of this. And I do get the impression that he is the one that is just having fun and enjoying it, and he is also the one that really wants to just be there for Ryan and support Ryan, and he feels he needs to be there for Ryan, and you see that at some points with some of the discussions he has. But this really is a fun and enjoyable character, and always engaging, and I always like watching Graham on this series, and I think it's a really great performance by Bradley Walsh. We've then got some of the guest cast, and I think Goran Visnich is probably the best guest actor with Nikola Tesla in this. He is Serbian, I think he is. Obviously, Tesla was Croatian originally, so he's got that kind of that part of the world voice and vibe, and the way he portrays Tesla as this flawed genius in regards to he's got all these ideas, but he can't put them. He can put them into real life, but he can't get them and sell them, and this is where Edison comes into salesman. And I do like the whole flawed character of Edison of Tesla all the way through, and I think Goran plays it really, really well. And this is the thing, when you've got the main guest character there and you're trying to put a spotlight on them, you need an actor who works. You've got that in Rosa, and you've got that here, and this really is he is the best of the guest cast. Complementing him to an extent is Robert Glenister, making a second appearance in Doctor Who, this time as Thomas Edison. He was in Caves of Androzani, but he is Edison, and he comes across as this salesman, this man who's an opportunist businessman, and the character that he plays is a nice counterpoint to Tesla. And actually, you kind of love to hate him to start with, but you kind of understand his reasoning by the end. And the way it's put across by Robert Glenister is a very well acted and very polite role. There's two more main guest casts I want to put in here. You've got Hayley McGee playing Dorothy Skerritt, Tesla's assistant. Now she's the one who seems to defend him a lot, and actually I think really trusts and likes him, and there may be a little bit of romance in there potentially, but it's actually quite an interesting and lovely little role that Hayley McGee plays here, and I think it's quite a nice counterpoint to Tesla, the fact that she's there to help compensate for some of his immediate failings. And I do like the way that Hayley McGill plays it, obviously playing a American assistant, and she plays it pretty solidly, and I quite like it overall. And then we've got Anjali Mahindra, who is playing the Queen Skifra. What a lovely little role, and it's very much like that character in Voyage of the Damned, but it's kind of got a more, because it's kind of arachnic type feel to it. But I love the way that it's played, because it's kind of like, it's more a scavenger queen, and I love the the kind of the gimmick of a laser tail, a stinger is quite cool. I think she's very good at playing roles in Doctor Who. She's done a few in Big Finish. She's also played Rani in the Sarah Jane Adventures, which she's best known for, and I do think the role was played very solidly as a big bad by Anjali, and yes, I think it's a great little role, great little bit of fun, and helps with the enemy of the week situation on this. There's a few elements I do like in here. The whole idea of Tesla and his experiment in the Nikola generator, the fact that there's people of Edison's company trying to sabotage a little bit Tesla's setup, gives that kind of frisson between the two of them, which I think is quite nice. Edison is really amazed the TARDIS and wants to try and patent everything, because that's what he's known for. Tesla goes in and sits in, oh, it's interesting, I understand this, I understand where it's come from, it's an amazing piece of technology. And it's more in awe about the technology than thinking, oh, money bags, money behind the eyes, and that just shows the comparison between Edison and Tesla in it. I like the conversation that Bradley has with Edison at one point, because Edison's talking about how with his bravado, and Bradley psychs out and says, well, you only want Tesla, you're so obsessed with Tesla because you want him, because you know you can make a profit off him with his ideas, because he's made full of ideas, and you have a kind of jealousy about him. And I love the way that's been psyched out by Graham, and it shows his knowledge, and he refers to a bus conductor manager he has in his own in his work in the bus depot in Sheffield, and all that description. I think it's quite a cool little point. The interesting point that the Skiffer are interested in Tesla, because there's a throwaway quote which is referenced a bit later about Tesla signaling to Mars, or receiving a signal from Mars, which has been published in the press and made him a bit more of a scapegoat and a bit of a weirdo to the press, which Edison has jumped on, and the whole discussion about that, and it's interesting with the way that works, because it's revealed later on that Tesla signaled back, which is why the Skiffer involves. He's kind of set himself up for this, being abducted by the Skiffer to become their technician and the repairman. It's interesting how that all works. The Skiffer ship is interesting, all this different technology. You've got a Silurian blaster gun, you've got an orb that is from a different technology that's used as kind of a tracker and being utilised again, and this kind of scavenger technology of the Skiffer. It's a nice little reference. It's a shame it can't be explored a bit more, but with 45 minutes you don't have much time, to be fair. Yeah, I like the idea of the whole hope that Yaz has about Tesla being saved and survives, and the Doctor says no, he will be bankrupt and he'll die bankrupt, and the Wardenclyffe project will fall on its backside within a year, and the whole history part of it's been really well written, really put together, and it is a solid script by Nina Matevia, and I think it gives a good plot line for the Monster of the Week to come in, and it also gives a bit of history about Tesla and what he's like, and it makes you more interested about going and finding out more about him. And obviously it is referenced by Ryan that Tesla, after the man who makes the name Tesla as in the cars, because obviously that is where Elon Musk got the name from, was Tesla, and he was going to call, was it a pickup truck Nikola or something like that? So obviously there is a big influence of Tesla in the modern day as well. The direction's actually pretty solid by Nida Manzoor. I love the different kind of lighting situations you have, or the way it's directed. You've got a lot of darkness and dankness in the and the way that it's shot with some of the shots in the Skifra ship. You've got the lab at Wardenclyffe for Tesla, which I think is really cool. The whole way it's shot is actually pretty solid, and it is mostly studio based. You can tell it's mostly studio based, but the outside stuff they do use is very well done. It's very well shot. I love the day for night situation when they're putting together the transmitter to stop the Skifra near the end of the story, and I love the day to night shooting of that. I love the whole setup of the style of it. It's very much 1-2 camera setup, and there's but it's got the right beats and the right emotions at the right time for what you need, and it's set up in such a way that it flows quite. It's not really stagnates. It's not jarring, and it flows quite well, and I quite like it. I really do. The music by Segun Akinola. Thing with Segun is you've got to remember that he doesn't overpower her like Murray Gold tends to do. It very much complements it all the way through, and you get the Doctor's theme at one point when she's talking about herself and how she's describing herself to the Skifra. This kind of triumphant theme you get come through when she's showing that she's the big cheese and she'll be able to stop everything. You've then got the situation with the music just being across the whole thing, which is really sweet and really nice, and it's a great little score, and Segun is very good at just scoring it and lifting it and not actually overpowering it, and that's something Murray Gold started to do near the end, which I keep commenting about because it's true, and I still think Segun's got ideas here about what he does, and obviously there's interest there. So overall, I like this story. It's not brilliant or very good, but it is good, and it's a very high 3.5 TARDISes out of 5. Okay, let's see how that fits in with the rest of the story so far. Okay, there's only one story in the Jodie Whittaker era I've reviewed so far, which is Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, so 3.5 TARDIses out of 5 to start off isn't actually too bad. Overall though, we have 2 stories still at 2.5 TARDIses out of 5, which are Time Lash and Sleep No More. And at the top are still 6 stories with 4.5 TARDIses out of 5. They are The Happiness Patrol, Inferno, The Day of the Doctor, The Caves of Androzani, The Tomb of the Cybermen, and Dalek. That's it. Thanks guys for watching. Comment down below. Tell me what you think about Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. Do you like it? Leave a comment down below. Do you not like it? Leave a comment down below. And if you like this video, don't forget to like it and share it with the hashtag teamstructor. And if you like the channel as a whole, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notifications bell so you know when a new video comes out. General rule, new video every Sunday at 4 PM GMT. I am back on Wednesday with another Doctor Who review. I will see you then. But if you want to help support the channel more, you can go to the Patreon at patreon.com/Deanstructor for those £1 or $1 a month. You can help support the channel. Just go to patreon.com/Deanstructor. That's it. As I say, I'm back on Wednesday at 6 PM GMT with another Doctor Who review. Until then, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you later.